From the National Weather Service in Raleigh, it's Nick Petro with yet another winter storm briefing here for later this week. Keep in mind that this briefing is specifically for central North Carolina. This is our third PowerPoint slide set. If you got our 5 a.m. slide set, really no major changes. In fact, I don't think we did any changes at all of the slides. The winter storm watch is in effect for all of central North Carolina counties. What I'm going to do here with this briefing is I'm going to give a quick run through of the high points. And then in case anybody needs to drop off or can't stay very long, I'm going to run through the slides and run through the high points real quick. And then we'll take a deeper dive. And then if folks need to drop off after the key points, that's fine. If you want to stick around, if you have the time to stick around, I'll take a deeper dive into why this is a challenging forecast. Okay, so let's just go ahead and jump right into it. Snow, ice, wind, power outages, and hazardous travel. Typical winter weather event concerns for us here. We're expecting a couple inches of snow. Mainly, this one's different than we're gonna have to kind of just put last Sunday's storm out of our mind because it's not going to be anything like that in terms of who's going to get what and where. Okay, this time's different, and I'll show you if you're able to stick around late. I'll show you why. But basically, a couple inches of snow, mainly north of the Highway 24, with highest amounts north and east of Raleigh. Okay, and again, this all gets started late Thursday, and it's going to run through Friday night. Okay, in terms of who's going to get the freezing rain and ice, we're thinking, enough ice that could result in down trees and power outages, mainly like east of I-95, with the highest amounts kind of in the southeast part of the state. Like if you're down near Clinton, Sampson County, southern Wayne, kind of in that general area, Friday morning through Friday night. Okay, that's where we think the ice is going to be. Somewhere there's going to be a transition, and again, that's going to be real tricky, okay? The I-95 counties, particularly northern half, it's going to be, mostly snow on the northern I-95 corridor. The southern half of I-95 is tricky, whether it's, all snow, sleet, or ice. All right, what about wind? Probably not as windy. Well, actually not as windy as the last event. Well, that's good news for places that are, seeing the ice. Of course, widespread power outages are expected where the heavy ice accumulation occurs. Again, southern coastal plain, south and east of Raleigh on Friday. And then, of course, this type of setup will produce hazardous travel. That goes without saying, potentially across all of central North Carolina. Okay, so that's a look at our hazards. Again, this could be a pretty decent event, so that's why we have it highlighted as significant. Kind of a level 4 out of 5 type storm system. Okay, your time frame, Wednesday night, rain will begin to move in. On Thursday, that rain will cross central North Carolina, but begin to change to snow on the northern edge late in the day, probably as we head towards sunset. And then Thursday night, we'll see scattered light snow showers, maybe some sleet mixing in on the back end of that rain that moved through earlier. And then Friday and Friday night, that's when we think, the precip will get going across at least the eastern half of North Carolina. Snow north of a line from Stanley to Halifax County, sleet south of that line, with mostly freezing rain in the far southeast, like down near Sampson County, where heavy ice accumulations are possible. There's some uncertainty as to how quickly the system gets out. So we have Saturday and Saturday night painted orange for potential for light snow showers to continue, and then it should begin to dry out late. And then the impacts, just kind of, until things either melt, clear up, or get plowed and cleared away, we're going to be dealing with impacts Sunday through early next week, particularly the black ice issues. Okay, so, when's the worst of it? It's going to be basically late Thursday, but particularly Friday and Friday night. That's when we expect the worst of the weather to hit. All right, so how much ice? Well, again, remember I said, south and east of Raleigh, but more towards Sampson County where we think the accumulating ice will be. So we're talking from just south of Rockingham, over toward Fayetteville to just south of Goldsboro and Point South, where you see the orange and red bins. That's where we think the worst of the icing is going to be. Okay. And remember, we're just talking about central North Carolina. If you're wondering, well, what about Wilmington's area or what about Newport's area? Yeah, I definitely would encourage you to go to their those National Weather Service offices to get their updates. But suffice it to say, obviously the heaviest icing is expected across the southeast part of the state. Okay, so well, that means north of the orange, that's where we expect most of the snow to fall. But the heaviest north and east of Raleigh, of the Triangle, where 3, maybe 4 inches of snow could fall. Um, Looks like maybe this time, which is somewhat unusual for a winter storm, but usually the triad in north of 85 is where usually we get the worst of the snow. But things are a little bit shifted around with this particular event, and if you're able to stick around after the summary slide, I can show you why. But basically, we expect the heaviest snow to be north and east. Just make sure, if folks do go out on Thursday, the tricky thing is how quickly things turn south, head bad, on Thursday night as that rain changes to sleet and snow. So, the message we're trying to remind folks is not only have a storm kit for your house and your business or your office, but also have a storm kit for your car. Okay. And then finally, just to kind of wrap it up, Friday and Friday night looks like the worst of the weather is going to occur during that time. Our confidence is increasing, but there's still a challenge regarding the various precip types and how much. Okay, so clearly we know that this is going to be a very impactful, if not major, winter storm to affect much of central North Carolina Thursday night through Friday night. Confidence is increasing that ice and sleet will be the main hazard for the southern half of the region, with snow the main hazard for the northern half of the region. So, if you're closer to if you're closer to the Virginia border, this is going to be more snow. If you're further south and east, like east of I-95, south of south of Highway 70, let's say, maybe more of an icing event. Okay, so residents of central North Carolina should be prepared to stay off the roads and expect to remain at home or at work if applicable from Thursday night through at least Saturday. Expect power outages during that time. Again, if you're south and east of Raleigh, power outages is a good bet. And finally, take the opportunity now to stock up on supplies you need to spend 72 hours, at least 72 hours of where you're, sheltering at. Okay. So obviously there's still quite a bit of uncertainty. We're fine tuning the forecast, so you'll want to keep up to date. So we will be basically doing another live webinar at 4:30 this afternoon. So I will send out these slides again with the link to the YouTube, with the recording, and we'll do another live webinar at 4:30. Okay, and that'll give us time to ingest and digest the latest model guidance that comes in during the late morning hours. Okay, so with that, I'm going to take a deeper dive, but I'll pause for a moment here to let folks who need to drop off go ahead and drop off. And if hang in there, I'm still going to for folks who need to drop off, I am going to record, keep the recording going for the more in-depth information. But anyway, I want to get the high points out there for folks who could only stay with me for a couple minutes. Okay, so let's take a look as we take a little deeper dive into this, and for hopefully I'll get to I will get to these questions here after we take a deeper look here. But I wanted to kind of give a sense, and you get an idea of what I mean by our challenges here. And this is just kind of a simulation. If you've watched my webinars for a while, I like to look at radar simulations and precip type simulations, because I think that helps us put into context the what and the when, not necessarily how much, but the what and the when and the where. Okay, so anyway, and I'll do the time conversion for you. But here, this time frame right here, green represents rain, blue represents snow. And this time frame right here is Thursday morning. So we're talking basically 24 hours from now. Yeah, tomorrow. So anyway, here's tomorrow morning. Rain approaching the triad, rain moving across the triad, basically this time tomorrow. Rain moving from the triad to the triangle, basically during the middle of the day. Rain crossing the triad and sandhills during the late afternoon hours, like 4 or 5 p.m. And then rain crossing I-95 corridor, moving into eastern North Carolina by early evening. Now, early evening tomorrow, so we're talking, 30 hours from now? Look at the orange. The orange represents sleet, okay? And, of course, the blue represents snow. And we're starting to see on the backside a changeover to sleet and snow. This time frame right here is 10 p.m. tomorrow, 10 p.m. tomorrow evening. And you can see there's a scattering of sleet on the back edge. So this would be around shortly after midnight tomorrow night. So 36 hours from now? And you can see that the back edge, as the cold air pours in behind the front, results in a changeover on the back edge. Now, this precip band that we're looking at right here, this green, which represents rain, and the orange, which represents sleet, that precip band is going to slow down, and that's the crux of the problem. Is the fact that this front in the precip band is slowing down, and the front is slowing down. Okay, so this is basically pre-dawn hours Friday. And notice how the sleet is expanding, okay, across a good portion of eastern North Carolina, basically along and east of I-95. And then watch what happens after sunrise. That's about 7 a.m. Friday, 10 a.m. Friday, 1 p.m. Friday, 4 p.m. Friday. Wow, look how that blows up during Friday afternoon. And when I mean blows up, I mean expands in coverage. Okay. And then Friday evening, it just basically, here comes, a lot of wintry mix. Freezing rain all the way to the coast, where you see the red. The red's freezing rain. The orange is sleet, in the purples and blues, that's snow. And look how it just continues to expand. This would be Friday evening. Okay, as we head to Friday night, again, snow continuing to expand. And the part that I'm concerned about really is, look how long this area right here is in a period of either sleet or freezing rain. Okay, this snow develops kind of late in the event. Okay, but this freezing rain in this sleet area looks like it's basically. Let me back up here. Okay, so hang on here, stand by as I get my arrow right. Oh, come on. Let's see here. There we go. All right. Look how many hours. Okay. So boom, there it is. Sleet, freezing rain mix one. That's 12Z Friday. And it goes all the way till 12Z Saturday. 24 hours of sleet and freezing rain. That's a that's a long period of time. Okay. I will tell you that this model here is the worst case scenario. Okay. If this worst case scenario pans out, then we're looking at a 24-hour event, nearly 24 hours of sleet and freezing rain east of I-95. Okay. Freezing rain closer to the coast, sleet closer to I-95. And both sleet and freezing rain are very problematic. Once you get west of I-95, it appears to be more of a snow event. And let me back up here on this timing. The snow looks like it gets going during the late afternoon Friday, and it expands and continues through, basically Saturday morning. So we're looking at, 12 hours maybe? 12 hours of snow across, basically from the Triad eastward, Wadesboro eastward. So again, keep in mind, this is the worst case scenario right here. Okay. And then it's all gone by this time frame right here is Saturday midday. All right. Now, let me show you kind of a better case scenario. All right. And this is that what I showed you there was the NAM model. This is the GFS model. Okay. And let's kind of say, okay, right there's Thursday midday, very similar to the previous model I just showed you. There's late in the afternoon Thursday, so we're talking tomorrow afternoon. There's tomorrow evening, and similar story. This is rain near the coast. mixing the sleet and maybe some snow on the back edge. So tomorrow evening, should this happen tomorrow evening, should this, this early mixture of sleet and snow happen on the back edge of the rain tomorrow evening, yeah, that could put down a quick coating of snow or sleet. Absolutely. Tomorrow evening we could be looking at travel impacts. Okay, with the potential for, particularly across the northern I-95 corridor tomorrow evening. Okay, and then that's overnight to Friday morning. That's basically sunrise time Friday morning. And it's kind of similar to the previous model I showed, sleet along and east of I-95 and perhaps some snow expanding west of I-95. This is Friday afternoon. The difference, though, is look how much less snow there is here, west of I-95, and there's a very, very marked back edge of the steady precip. Okay, so the back edge of the steady precip is right here. So basically, east of I-95, that's sort of the back edge. This is more scattered in nature and probably of lighter, lesser amounts. Okay, so that's midday Friday. And as we continue to, whoops, sorry about that. I clicked the wrong button. That's what I was just showing there, midday Friday. And then notice how it just stays pinned closer to the coast. Yeah, there's a little bit of snow back toward Raleigh late in the day Friday. But basically, this is mainly an east of I-95 event in this particular model. Okay, so let me back up. Let me compare the model I showed previously. Okay, and that model is more of a worst case scenario as it relates to, number one, how far west the snow gets, and number two, how concentrated the sleet and freezing rain is across the eastern part of the state, versus a sort of a better case scenario, if you will, same time frame, where it's basically more the back edge of the precip is further east, and the freezing rain is just pinned right to the coast. Okay. When I say that's a better case scenario, that's for central North Carolina. If you're east of I-95 and in eastern North Carolina, again, check out the Wilmington, Wakefield, and Newport offices. If you're east of I-95, either way you slice it, you're in for some pretty impactful winter weather. Okay, so anyway, right now this is the way. These are two possible scenarios, if you will, and why this particular forecast is a bit of a struggle. Because, for the triad, you could end up with everything from nothing to 2, 3, 4 inches of snow. Goldsboro, you could end up with anything from 4 or 5 inches of snow to an inch and a half of sleet. In other words, depending on which one of these tracks, if you will, verifies, will ultimately determine precip type and amounts. But right now, I could say with confidence that places along and east of I-95 will probably be affected more than places north of I-85. Okay, which is somewhat different than what we normally say. Again, I-95 corridor, I-85. Okay, if you're along and east of I-95, it's going to be obviously more impactful than if you're north of I-85. Okay, the uncertainty, as it always is, every winter event, the uncertainty lies between I-85 and I-95. What's going to happen in between those two highway corridors? That's always the greatest uncertainty. Okay, so that's a little bit of a deeper dive, if you will, into why this is a little bit of a challenge. If I don't want to keep everybody too terribly long, but this is a tricky forecast in that these are the sort of the if you will, the weather features that are driving this whole thing. Let me back up here in time. This is actually the current time right now, and as I go forward in time, you'll notice that. Let's see. This is basically tomorrow when the rain's moving through. Okay, and then this is Friday morning right here. And the challenge is The challenge is this trough right here. You see these lines, how they bend downward, and there's, you can kind of draw a line to connect that trough. This trough is what we call positively tilted. And that one model, the GFS model, is arranged in a way that would tend to push things further to the east, whereas the NAM model, as we go forward in time, basically takes that trough and tries to sort of let me clear all my drawings here. The NAM model almost tries to close it off and draw up more precipitation from the south, whereas the GFS model wants to keep it more sort of open, if you will, and push everything to the east. So anyway, a little bit of a deeper dive into why this is a little bit of a challenge. But let's go back to our slides, and I'll show you sort of right now our official forecast for snow and ice. That's snow and that's ice. Okay, question time.